The family motto is never complain, never explain, but it's just a motto, and it doesn't really hold.
There's a lot of complaining and a lot of explaining.
They've shown absolutely no willingness to reconcile up until this point, and I'm not sure how honesty is burning bridges.
But after that, nothing was okay for a long time.
No, nothing was okay.
From birth, Prince Harry carried a title that marked him: the spare. Not the heir. Not the future king either. Behind palace walls, that label shaped his world in ways few truly see. For years, a quiet struggle unfolded beneath royal traditions, a battle between who he was expected to be and who he wanted to become. The weight of it built slowly, hidden in plain sight, until it could no longer be ignored. When it became too much, Harry made a decision that changed everything. This is where duty and identity crashed head-on, and the impact still echoes today. The burden of the spare label. From the moment of his birth, Prince Harry has carried the invisible weight of being the spare to the heir. As the second son of King Charles III and the late Princess Diana, Harry's role within the monarchy was shaped by centuries-old traditions that define the destinies of royal siblings. While his elder brother, Prince William, was groomed as the future king, Harry was born as the backup, a role that he has described as both limiting and painful. In his memoir, Spare, Prince Harry described himself as the shadow and backup to his brother, born to provide support, distraction, or even a spare part if needed. Unlike William, who bore the formal responsibilities of an heir from infancy, Harry's position afforded him both certain freedoms and a persistent sense of insignificance. Royal author Ingrid Seward noted that Harry's role as the spare allowed him greater license for mischief, recalling that he would play the fool and get away with childish antics such as standing behind visitors and pulling funny faces behind their backs to make William laugh. Even the Queen, who was famously strict with William, reportedly tolerated Harry's behavior with grandmotherly affection. But beneath this freedom lay a growing feeling of being second best, an internal conflict that would come to define Harry's public and private life. This internalized burden shaped many of Harry's choices, including his break from royal duties. Harry himself admitted that, as young as age 9, he recognized his subordinate status, reportedly telling William, "You're going to be king. It doesn't matter what I do." The sentiment, repeated throughout his life, influenced his willingness to rebel against royal expectations. From his teenage years marked by partying and substance use, which he openly confessed in Spare, to his eventual decision to step down from senior royal duties in 2020, Harry's journey reflects an ongoing effort to assert his own identity outside of the monarchy's rigid structure. Despite his physical separation from royal life, the label of the spare continues to overshadow Harry's narrative. Royal experts, including Ingrid Seward, have observed that Harry has built much of his public identity around his role as the spare. His memoir, legal battles, and media appearances often return to this theme of being trapped in a role he neither chose nor can easily escape. As Harry himself stated in a recent BBC interview following his lost appeal over security arrangements, "Some members of my family will never forgive me," underscoring how the burden of being the spare persists in shaping his relationships and choices to this day. Yet Harry's greatest challenge wasn't just the title he carried, it was the relationship shaped by it. Royal sibling dynamics. The dynamic between Prince William and Prince Harry has been shaped from birth by their contrasting roles within the royal hierarchy, William as the heir and Harry as the spare. William was destined to follow in the footsteps of their father, King Charles III, and grandfather, taking on the weight of the crown and the responsibilities that come with it. From infancy, William was prepared for this future, while Harry found himself positioned as a backup. As Harry wrote in The Spare, "I was brought into the world in case something happened to Willie." This foundational distinction not only determined their public duties, but also deeply influenced their personal identities and relationship as brothers. Being the spare gave Harry freedoms that William never experienced, but it also reinforced his sense of being less important. Royal experts have noted that Harry was often allowed to act playfully and get away with childish antics that entertained his brother. In contrast, William faced far greater scrutiny from the family, particularly from the Queen, who was reportedly critical of him during his early years. This difference in treatment, while at times harmless, created an imbalance that grew as they matured and contributed to the tensions that later emerged between them. The tension between heirs and spares is not unique to William and Harry. Historical parallels within the royal family underscore how this sibling dynamic has long been a source of private pain. Princess Margaret, the late Queen Elizabeth II's younger sister, is a prime example. According to Seward, Princess Margaret resented being cast in the role of younger sister, though at no time did she ever indicate that she would like the roles to be reversed. Margaret's frustrations with her secondary position echoed through the decades, offering a striking comparison to Harry's grievances about being overshadowed. In contrast, Queen Elizabeth herself, who was born third in line to the throne, did not grow up expecting to become monarch, but accepted the role when fate placed it upon her after her father's unexpected accession. Harry's struggle mirrors these earlier royal sibling stories, but he has been far more vocal and public in expressing his dissatisfaction. Unlike Princess Margaret, who kept her resentments largely private, Harry has repeatedly highlighted his position as the spare in interviews, court cases, and his record-breaking memoir. His narrative reflects a modern twist on an ancient royal tension, one in which the younger sibling no longer quietly accepts the shadows of monarchy, but uses his platform to question, critique, and redefine what it means to be the spare. As Seward put it, Harry chooses to be a victim and wreak vengeance on the slights he thought he had suffered, on his family, on the press, and through the courts. License and rebellion. From a young age, Prince Harry experienced a unique kind of freedom granted by his status as the spare. While his older brother William was being carefully prepared for the throne, Harry was able to push boundaries and indulge in playful mischief with minimal consequences. Even the Queen, who was known to be critical of William in his early years, reportedly showed Harry grandmotherly tolerance, amused rather than frustrated by his pranks. This permissiveness helped shape Harry's early sense of identity as someone who could defy expectations and still be forgiven. The freedoms Harry enjoyed as the spare extended into his adolescence, where they manifested in ways that often drew media attention and public scrutiny. Unlike William, who bore the weight of royal duty from childhood, Harry was free to explore riskier behaviors. As detailed in his memoir, Spare, Harry openly wrote about his teenage substance use, admitting to experimenting with hard substances, cannabis, and psychedelic mushrooms.
I would never recommend people to do this recreationally.
He also recounted his love for partying, which became a defining feature of his image during those years. These actions, while controversial, reflected Harry's attempt to carve out his own space and identity within, and at times in defiance of, the constraints of royal life. Harry himself seemed aware of this dynamic from an early age. According to reports in the Daily Mail, Harry is said to have told William at just 9 years old that since William would be king, it didn't matter what he did. This telling statement reveals the internal logic that shaped many of his later choices. With no throne to prepare for, Harry felt freer, or perhaps destined to, rebel against the formality and expectations placed upon his family. That sense of fatalism about his role as the spare contributed to the carefree and at times reckless approach that characterized much of his youth. Yet this freedom also came at a cost. While his antics and rebellion brought temporary amusement and relief from the rigid royal structure, they also deepened Harry's feelings of being overshadowed and secondary. The contrast between his behavior and William's more dutiful path widened the gap between the brothers as they matured. And over time, the same license that allowed Harry to act without fear of consequence began to fuel the internal struggles and resentments that would later define his public narrative. Megxit and the fight for autonomy. The decision by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to step down as senior members of the royal family in January of 2020, a move widely known as Megxit, marked a defining moment in Harry's ongoing struggle for independence, grew from years of feeling confined by his role as the spare and clashing with both the media and the institution. In 2020, he and Meghan announced their decision to step back as senior royals and work toward financial independence. a move that shocked both the monarchy and the public. This led to the tense Sandringham Summit, where Harry reportedly faced heated exchanges with William, moments he later described as deeply distressing in the Harry and Meghan Netflix series.
They cleared the windscreen, the windshield, the misery of loss.
One of Harry's key grievances after Megxit was the loss of his UK-funded security. When he stepped down from royal duties and moved to the United States, that protection was withdrawn, which he felt put his family at risk. In his legal challenge, Harry argued that the decision set a troubling precedent, allowing security to be used as a tool to control members of the royal family. He claimed that this precedent would imprison other members of the family from being able to choose a different life. This theme of control and restriction became a key part of Harry's narrative about why he felt compelled to leave royal life behind. The loss of security and the institutional response deepened Harry's sense of being manipulated and marginalized. He alleged that the withdrawal of protection was deliberately used as leverage against him in response to his decision to step back from royal duties. This, combined with the media frenzy that followed every aspect of their departure, fueled Harry's belief that he was not only the spare in title, but also expendable in practice. In interviews following his legal defeats, including a BBC interview aired within hours of his failed appeal, Harry expressed his frustration, stating, "I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point." Megxit was more than a move across the ocean for Harry. It marked his determination to break free from an identity he believed had long confined him. Despite the criticism and fractured family ties that followed, and his own acknowledgement that some relatives may never forgive him, he has remained firm in his choice. Through legal battles, media appearances, and his memoir Spare, Harry continues to seek a life shaped on his own terms, though the influence of his royal past still lingers. But Harry's fight for independence wasn't over. The most revealing chapter was yet to come. The memoir, Spare, and its impact. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, published in January 2023, became a cultural and commercial phenomenon, solidifying his status as one of the most outspoken members of the modern royal family.
The book you write, he says, "They tried, darling boy, I'm afraid she didn't make it." These phrases remain in my mind like darts in a board, you say.
The book shattered records, becoming the UK's fastest-selling non-fiction title ever, and reportedly earning Harry £22 million in its first year of release, according to author Richard Osman. The memoir's title alone encapsulated Harry's long-held frustrations about his place within the monarchy, a theme that runs throughout its pages. With a £16 million advance as part of a £32 million four-book deal, Spare was not just a personal catharsis, but also a significant commercial venture that generated headlines worldwide. The memoir was filled with controversial revelations that further strained Harry's relationship with his family. One of the most explosive claims was that Prince William allegedly pushed Harry into a dog bowl during a heated argument about Meghan Markle. Harry also accused William of mocking his panic attacks and suggested that King Charles III had prioritized his own image over his second son's well-being. Harry's account painted a picture of a royal institution that, in his view, repeatedly failed to protect him from harm and left him feeling isolated. Harry's disclosures extended beyond family dynamics and touched on personal struggles, including admissions about substance use and mental health challenges. In Spare, he reflected on experimenting with substances and how he found comfort in watching friends during difficult times. These admissions added to the book's raw and unfiltered tone, presenting Harry as determined to tell his story in full, regardless of the backlash. The impact of Spare was immediate and far-reaching. Beyond its commercial success, the book widened the rift within the royal family. It also intensified public debate about the monarchy, privacy, and the price of royal life. While supporters praised Harry for his honesty and vulnerability, critics saw the memoir as part of a pattern of airing grievances in public while profiting from his royal connections. A new Spare dynamic. Even within his marriage to Meghan Markle, Prince Harry seems to echo the dynamic of being the spare, this time in a personal rather than royal context. While their relationship is built on mutual affection, Commentators have noted that Harry's role within the partnership mirrors familiar patterns from his past. Some observers suggest that as Meghan's ambitions take center stage, Harry, once determined to escape his brother's shadow, now faces comparisons about his place alongside his driven wife. The contrast in ambitions between Harry and Meghan has further highlighted this new dynamic. According to Fitzwilliams, Meghan likes glitz and glamour and is absolutely ruthless, as the interview on Oprah showed so clearly. Meghan's focus on building her brand through projects in entertainment, investing in startups, and positioning herself as a global influencer has reinforced perceptions that she is the driving force in their public life. Fitzwilliams added that Meghan aspires to be a billionaire influencer and an A-list celebrity, leveraging the royal connection that came with marrying Harry. Meanwhile, Harry, though engaged in various initiatives, does not appear to share the same level of commercial ambition or media hunger. This divergence has at times placed Harry in a supporting role within the marriage, reminiscent of his lifelong struggle as the spare within the royal family. While Meghan pursues her high-profile projects and carves out her space in the worlds of business and celebrity, Harry's contributions are often viewed as extensions of their joint brand rather than as independent ventures. Fitzwilliams pointed out that Meghan's global recognition is closely tied to her marriage to Harry, as his status continues to amplify her brand. Despite their shared goals of philanthropy and advocacy, the couple's differing priorities have fueled public perception that Harry continues to play a secondary role, first as a royal spare, now as a spare in marriage. This tension is further complicated by Harry's own admissions, such as his claim that security downgrades and family tensions have left him unable to envision a return to the UK. As Harry redefines his place beside Meghan, a more personal struggle is waiting in the wings. Harry's call for reconciliation. Following his recent loss in a legal battle over publicly funded security, Prince Harry has voiced a desire to repair his strained ties with the royal family. The court ruling, which denied his appeal for reinstated protection in the UK, is said to have worsened his relationship with King Charles III. Harry believes this dispute contributed to their communication breakdown, with his father reportedly cutting off contact during the ordeal. In an interview with the BBC, Harry revealed a more conciliatory tone, saying, "I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore." His words reflect both fatigue from years of conflict and a growing concern for his father's well-being, as he added, "I don't know how much longer my father has." The comments highlight Harry's hope that personal healing can come before it is too late. The battle over security arrangements has been one of the most public and painful aspects of Harry's post-royal chapter. After stepping down from official duties, his publicly funded protection was withdrawn, a move he said left his family vulnerable. The court's rejection of his appeal marked a legal and emotional blow, further entangling personal grievances with institutional decisions. Harry's call for reconciliation signals a potential turning point, but whether it will lead to genuine healing remains uncertain. Years of legal fights, media revelations, and public criticisms have left deep scars. His recent comments suggest a readiness to move beyond conflict, yet the challenge of rebuilding trust within the royal family continues. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines. And be sure to check out the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.